like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open your shell so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go anywhere. There's no distance too far. And I just can't get enough of your energy. I just can't get enough. You're the spark shining in the dark. Oh, 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 love.
Welcome to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. I am so excited you're here. Remember, It Is What It Is a show all about real people, real life stories, overcoming real adversity, and inspiring others through sharing their stories. So you know we've had a variety of interesting stories. They're going to continue, and I'm thrilled you're here today. Now, I want to talk about mitzvah time first. So, mitzvah time. I'm going to talk about one that's very near and dear to my heart. My father was very, very ill recently, and my father almost died a couple of times. He bled out. And the gift of blood is truly the gift of life. And now I've donated blood in the past, and I strongly recommend, if you have good blood, I don't have good blood anymore because I had cancer, but if you have good blood, please donate. I never realized how important it is to donate blood until I was in the ICU with my dad, and we were told to say our goodbyes. And once we said our goodbyes, and he was intubated, and they started working on him because he was just, like I said, bleeding out, to hear the chaos, to see them running, yelling, I need more blood, I need another unit of blood, another unit of plasma, I need platelets, I need this, I need that. And to be there actually witnessing this whole thing was crazy and surreal. And the human body actually holds 10 to 12 units of blood. That's it. My father needed 44 plus, I think we lost count, 44 plus units of blood. And that's like 44 people that saved my father's life over the course of 2 incidents. He needed 19 units of blood and 19 units of plasma, and I don't know how many units of platelets. And then the first time, and then not even a week later, 25 plus, more. So all of these people that donated actually saved my father's life. It is just very overwhelming. So donate blood. Blood saves lives. And I can tell you that I thank every single one of you who do donate, because 44 plus people saved my father's life, and he's here with me today. So thank you. That's an incredible mitzvah. It's giving the gift of life. Actually, I plan to host an annual blood drive in honor of my father and in gratitude for all of you who donate blood. So stay tuned for that. I'd love for you to participate. Now, our giveaway. We have this lovely book here. This is called the Psych Ward Notes, Surviving Anxiety and Depression, by our guest, Peter Vox. Now, I'm going to read it first before I send it out to whoever wins. The way to win this is to comment, like, and share. That's how you get to win the book. There is a t-shirt as well, and that will be coming. It's a purple t-shirt, and you will love it. So we have a t-shirt, and we have a book called the Psych Ward Notes, and it's really a fascinating book from just the few pages I've already glanced through. When we come back from this commercial break, you're going to meet Peter Vox, the author of this book, who has been institutionalized in hospitals, psych wards, psych hospitals, if I'm saying that right. Oh, the psych wards. And he's been on all kinds of medications and gone through all kinds of therapies. And when we come back, you're going to learn all about Peter, what he's been through, and truly many of you will be able to relate to something that he says. So we'll see you right back after this commercial break. Don't go far.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. We have Peter Vox here today with us. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I have your book in my hand, the Psych Ward Notes, Surviving Anxiety and Depression, something most of us deal with.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
All right. So where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up in Roslyn, Long Island, just up the Wandsworth Park. Not far from here at all.
Not far, and you didn't land far either.
I didn't land far either.
You stayed close by. What was your childhood like, growing up in Roslyn?
It was.
Am I saying that right, Roslyn?
Roslyn,
okay,
correct.
because I'm a Connecticut girl.
It was. It's a beautiful town. The best schools, everything. The best that money could offer. My family was a tad strange. The mental illness ran in the family. So on the outside, while everybody thought we were normal, it was far from normal.
Who is normal anyway?
There's a range now.
Well, I pride myself in not being normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many siblings did you have?
I have one older brother. He's 5 years older.
Okay, all right. And in your family, there's some mental illness.
Correct.
So schizophrenia, I know you said, is one of them. So tell me a little bit about who had it and how it affected your family.
My uncle on my mother's side, who unfortunately passed away when I was about 6 months old, he had schizophrenia. He went through a series of electroshock treatment, which is what it was called back in the 60s.
Okay. And you didn't know him, so obviously you really don't remember him.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have any memories of him. And then my grandmother, who was his mother, I feel she was undiagnosed because she went through shock treatment. And when I was institutionalized, when I turned 50, Jacobi Hospital in the Bronx had offered me ECT, which is called electroconvulsive therapy. So I had mentioned it to my parents at the time, and my mother said, "Oh, your uncle had schizophrenia," and he went through shock treatment, and Grandma went through shock treatment, and this was the first time I was hearing about this.
Wow! So when you didn't learn about this till you were 50 years old?
Yes, it was quite a shock, pun intended.
How old are you now? I know.
I'm 53.
Sorry, that was funny.
Thank you. I'm 53 now.
Okay. Wow.
So
you've been a lot since, you've gone through quite a bit since then.
Yes.
Wow.
So I realized, looking back at all my grandmother's behaviors, that maybe she went undiagnosed. And my other concern was, you don't get shock treatment unless something is going wrong and something's going on.
Yeah.
So I was. It was an interesting place to find myself at that point, finding out all that information.
That's crazy. Wow. I mean, what was your grandmother like? What made you think that maybe she was undiagnosed?
Talking to herself a lot, singing, but not making really any sense. Just singing phrases that were musically just one dissonant note after another, and it was quite strange to be around. She would clean things that just out of habit. One time she just cleaned out my whole car, and I was in graduate school to become a phys ed teacher, and she just cleaned out my whole car, all my paperwork and everything, which luckily was saved on
Oh,
floppy
wow.
disks at the
Yeah.
time. So luckily I had backups.
Wow.
But she would do things like that. My parents went away to California on a trip, and
Right.
my grandmother decided to paint the basement. You know?
Wow. Wow. So odd behaviors.
Odd behaviors, correct.
Yeah, yeah. Now, is that something that runs in the family? I mean, can it be hereditary? I don't really know how that.
From the research I've done and my past education, it's something that you can be predisposed to, or it could be a learned
Right.
behavior when you're
Right.
constantly receiving mixed messages from people. So, for example, the extreme would be prisoners of war,
Right.
where they're tortured psychologically to where they reach a breaking point, and
Right.
it can become a learned behavior, in
Right.
my opinion.
Right. And your father, you told me a little bit about your father. He
Yes.
was a little bit of a lot of a hypochondriac.
Yes.
And I know from what we talked about that affected you growing up.
Correct.
And so tell me a little bit about your dad.
While he was a nice man,
Are they still alive, your
my
parents?
father passed in 2019,
Okay.
and my mother just turned 89.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my father, he was a hypochondriac, very concerned about the foods that he ate, but only if it fit his narrative, meaning that, I'll drink Diet Coke, which has
Right.
all these artificial sweeteners in it,
Yeah.
but you can't have a ham sandwich because it has sodium nitrate. But the artificial sweeteners are
Right.
linked to cancer, so is sodium nitrate. So
Right.
there were these ups and downs that were going on. We weren't allowed to have a color television until about 1982, for fear of radioactive waves emitting from the TV,
Wow.
microwave oven, cordless phone, not a
Yeah.
cell phone, the phone with the
Yeah.
antenna. So those are radio
What do
waves.
you think about cell phones?
I try not to think about it too much. I have my case
Yeah.
on it. And
What did your dad think about it?
Oh, he was very worried.
Yeah,
He was very
yeah.
worried. I don't want you putting that to your head.
Well, I actually think that I got breast cancer through my cell phone because I used it as a pocket, my bra
Okay.
as a pocket for like 20 plus years. And in the
Sure.
beginning, your dad may have there might be some truth to this because I always, whenever I see my kids with their cell phone on them, I yell at them, but I'm guilty of it too.
Sure.
But yeah, that was the one side that got the breast cancer. Didn't run in my family, no gene, nothing, no BRCA
Interesting.
gene. Yeah. So, hey, there could be truth
I
to that.
wouldn't discount it, but
But the fear was a bit
to harp
obsessive,
on it,
yeah.
or watching the news
Yeah.
with every bad news story.
Right.
I just, not that you need to be protected from those things, but when you're a small child, you shouldn't know that red M&Ms will cause cancer.
Right.
You shouldn't be told those things. Even regular toothpaste, we couldn't have regular toothpaste in
Oh,
the house
really?
because it has saccharin in it. So AIM, Colgate, all the major brands, they all had saccharin in it.
Right.
So we were brushing our teeth with, it was called Trudent at the time, and the toothpaste wouldn't break up and get sudsy and foamy.
Yeah.
It was like brushing your teeth with window caulking.
Ew.
And so every time you're brushing your teeth, you're being reminded of why you're using this
Yeah.
toothpaste, because the other one causes cancer.
Right.
And
So the fears he was instilling by protecting all of you and himself, he was actually kind of doing the opposite. He was kind of instilling fear.
inadvertently, but sometimes I would have the opinion, and maybe my brother, you'd have to talk to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I felt that he was doing it to satiate his own fears, or it was out of control. So
Right.
if I can stop
Right.
them from doing it,
Right.
then nothing will happen to anybody.
Right.
But sometimes I felt it was mainly to satiate his own fears.
Right. Now you said that your dad wouldn't leave the house, right, without he made sure everything was okay, check his body, if I remember this correctly, to make sure everything was
Everything had to be covered.
Yeah,
He had a few skin cancer,
Okay.
non-carcinogenic,
Right.
non-cancerous
Right.
moles removed from his face. It was quite a sight to see because the topical medication they used the moles. It would make the lifespan of the melanomas.
Yeah.
Speed up, so they would just crust up and just fall
I
off.
see.
So
Okay.
it wasn't pleasant to look at,
Right.
and it was a tough time for him. And then
Right.
after that, that was about 1985, 86, he just refused to go outside
Oh, really?
for anything.
Did he ever go for any kind of counseling or help or anything?
His entire life.
Oh, he did? Okay, okay. So this was kind of a known thing. I mean, you knew, the family knew that there was some mental illness.
Correct.
Okay, okay. And then obviously all of this affected the way you perceived things growing up.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did it affect, did you notice anything different as you were growing up?
I
about
noticed
yourself?
I noticed that I could be in the middle of a play date with friends,
Yeah.
whatever sport we were playing or whatever we were
Yeah.
doing, and I would just start thinking about death. I would obsess about it, and the fear of it would just take over. And it was either I go home or I push through it and keep playing with my friends, hoping it would stop. And for the most part, I would push through it, and it would stop. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of relatives. We had a lot of relatives die at a young age, so there were those sorts of things happening.
Right.
So you combine all those things, it was the perfect storm for me to be affected by it in a way that I just grew up being afraid of everything.
Wow. Now, did you get counseling when you were young?
I started at age 14, February 1984.
Oh, wow.
The week after February break.
Okay.
So it was during that time. I knew I needed to go. I was in the 9th grade.
And at 14, you knew you needed to go.
Oh, sure.
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because most kids will not admit to the fact that they need help.
Mm-hmm.
Most adults don't admit to the fact they need help.
True. The one good thing about growing up in Roslyn and having it be a very competitive town academically is that I saw my classmates adjusting to high school, doing their work, having high goals, setting high goals for themselves.
Right.
They wanted to go to Ivy League colleges, be successful.
Mm-hmm.
They had plans set out for themselves, and I had no clue what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And all I knew was that I need to get my work done and get to college, and then we'll figure things out when you get there. So
Right.
as tough as Roslyn was socially, if you didn't drive the right car, if you didn't have a lot of money, it could be very snooty, 90210 type of behaviors. While at
That's
the
got to
same,
be hard growing up with
It was.
that kind of pressure.
it was.
In addition to whatever you're going through,
Luckily, I wasn't picked on in high school much. I could less than 5 times did anybody give me any problems.
Yeah.
But you go to school with a paranoia,
Yeah.
and after a school day, I would just go home and just pass out from being exhausted.
Yeah.
Just for the worry that someone's going to say something
Right.
to you. You're
Right.
showing up to school not feeling so great about yourself anyway, and you see
Right.
other kids getting picked on, and you're like, oh my God, when am I next?
Yeah.
But luckily,
Were you always tall? You're a tall guy.
in 9th grade, I sprouted up.
Well,
Finally.
that's helpful.
that is helpful. Yes.
I remember my brother was picked on when he was younger because he was one of the bigger kids.
Mm-hmm.
But then in high school, he was still one of the bigger kids, and nobody picked on him
Yeah.
anymore.
Kids realize what strength is.
Oh, yeah, he let
once-
them know.
Once they're on the receiving end of this is what the strength can do.
Exactly. He was a football player. Nobody messed with him at that point. Then they respected his size,
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, wow. So what do you do now?
I retired from teaching.
Lucky you.
I recently passed the National Home Inspector's exam, so it's a
Wow.
career I'm thinking about. I started taking the courses. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do this, and it was sort of an impulsive decision,
Right.
not thinking I would pass the the test.
And you did.
I don't have a background in construction.
Oh, that's so funny.
But having owned a home for a little while, and you learn how to do things on your own, and just being curious, it was something that I did, and I'm still contemplating. I started a course for becoming a peer advocate or a peer specialist, and I'm sort of drifting more toward that direction, something that's a little more helpful
Right.
at this point in my life. Do I really want to start a new business and work 13, 14 hours a day at age 53 when my sons are teenagers?
I was going to ask you, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 sons, so
okay. 3 boys, wow.
Yep. So I want to see them as much as I can.
Yeah.
And it's a crossroads. What's more important, striving to make a lot of money and putting yourself through the rat race again, or be alive, work on your health, and be there for your kids? And I'm leaning towards the latter.
Yeah.
You know, be there for my kids. Money's always going to be money. And
money comes and goes.
Money comes and goes, but I learned at the hospital, especially from one of the nurses, she said, when you get out of here, don't dive headfirst into things and try to solve all your problems the first 2 weeks you're out, because you're going to burn out. You're going to wind up back in here.
Right.
So I followed their advice and, you know, dip your toes in the water, see what you like, see what you don't like, and go from there. And to really not let anybody else plan your future for you. You have to do what's good for your health, and you have to do what's good for your heart and your soul, and what you feel is right for yourself and your family.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that's a good stopping point, because we're going to come back and after the commercial break and talk a little bit more about your book, your hospital stays, and all of that.
Great.
So we got lots more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial break. More from Peter Vox.
Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
Welcome to Sunday Dinner with Chef Clemente. This is an all-new show about family cooking, Sunday dinner, things we did as a child, bringing back some memories and some tradition. This is how this dish was born. I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. So, the trick with the meatballs too, when you fry them, you don't want to overcrowd the pan too much. The drizzle, not too much of olive oil, right on top of that fish. So, a little flour. A little egg, Cella Luna, met somebody, everybody drink some wine. Everybody still going. Pass them around, everybody eat a little bit. Come on, you gotta dance. Oh my God! Get together, go visit your mother, your sister, your cousin. Bring some pastries, some food, get together, eat, drink, be happy. Who wants some linguine, clams, and pastries?
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville and Peter Vox. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Cindy.
All right, Peter, I want to get into some details here, some more details. Now, you wrote this book, The Psych Ward Notes, Surviving Anxiety and Depression. Okay, and this was written while you were in the hospital, right?
Correct.
So these are actually your notes, your journal. It's kind of like a journal, right? That
Yes.
you published, which is, I can't wait to read it. This is actually, one of the giveaways, which I'm going to read first, so it's going to be used by the time I give it out, because I can't wait to read this. Now, did you ever have a diagnosis?
When I was 14, I remember seeing my insurance papers from my first psychiatrist, and it said GAD. And I remember looking at it and saying, what does that stand for? And said, Generalized Anxiety Disorder.
Okay.
And so I accepted that, and things sort of made sense based on my family history.
Right.
And fast forward to when I was 49, when I first got admitted, it was bipolar, PTSD, major depression, and severe anxiety at that point.
So are all of those accurate or no?
After doing research and really looking into
Yeah.
it, the bipolar makes sense because at that point I never really knew that manic depression and bipolar were sort of parallel mental illnesses, and there's a lot of similarities between them. And then you go back and look at your past and you go, oh yeah, that is sort of,
sense.
of course, now it makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. So PTSD, you think of soldiers. You know, I've never been in the
Or
military.
cancer survivors.
Sure.
I think I have PTSD from having breast cancer.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
going through. Listen, I just went through seeing my father almost die in front of me, and I mean, you know, I think I went through a little PTSD from
Mm-hmm. Sure,
that. You know,
absolutely.
it's anything that's kind of, you know, shocking to
Yeah.
the system.
It's
Hard to.
Yeah, once you realize it's not just for military. Military personnel, and you look into it, and what
Yep.
happens, it's a trauma to your brain
Yep.
that I feel changes your chemical makeup a little bit, and almost like a hard drive on a computer, you crash.
Makes sense.
And either there, who knows, maybe there's permanent damage, or you can heal yourself, you know, in certain ways by finding what's good for you. So I think there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that
Yeah.
in the recipe that makes up my brain. So I don't discount
Right.
any of it. I find it interesting to research and find out, well, what's this illness? What's this illness? And what makes that clock tick? And I think it's helpful, you know, to find out once you get diagnosed to just not take the doctor's word for it. There's plenty of resources, especially on YouTube. There's very helpful therapists.
Oh, yeah.
And even people, normal everyday people who've probably done enough research where they're smarter than any social worker or psychologist you may come across.
You know, people are sharing their stories out there, and, you know, which I think is amazing, you know, because I always say sharing is caring, and
Yes.
on the show, because what we do here is share real life stories.
Sure.
And, you know, in sharing real life stories, it really helps other people because people can feel alone, you know, and that's why, I mean, I did when I went through my breast cancer,
Sure.
even though tons of people had cancer and I didn't have anybody close to me that went through it. So I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And, you know, little by little, I started meeting people. And when they shared their story with me, it made me realize, you know, I'm not alone. And it helped me. So it made me also realize how important it is to share your story with others so that
Absolutely.
others learn. And is that why you're sharing your story? Is that why you're sharing all your notes from?
Yeah, I've noticed over the past, 20 years that there's more and more people that are like me, and I'm going, well, what's going on? What's changed in society
Right.
that there's this sudden uptick in depression, anxiety? The suicide rate is just every week you read about somebody and you go, what's going on?
Yeah.
And the journal came about. It was a writing assignment. I was supposed to write 3 paragraphs over a weekend, and that turned into 66 pages. And
Now it's what? How many? It's
the
tons.
therapist, big print, the large
Big-
font is
Oh,
5.
you use my favorite word.
Which one? Oh, we can curse on the channel?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know that.
He bleeps it out. Yeah, see,
Okay.
this is awesome. Oh, I love this bad words. I pulled up to page 344.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a really good page. You have like, it's a big book. And
There's
it
20
looks
pages of pictures, so discount those.
So you've got over 500 pages
Over 500
of really,
pages.
it looks awesome. I can't wait to read this.
There's there's stories about the different patients, my theories on my mental illness,
Yeah.
regrets of the past, my mistakes in the past. I feel a lot of how we react to a mental illness is, like reacting. Like how do you react to certain trials and tribulations in your life?
Right.
Did you stick up for yourself properly?
Right.
And for me, that's the main thing. Thank God I've never had a major illness. I had a car accident with a back surgery, but I don't consider that an illness. That's
No.
an accident.
Right.
But so many times in my life where I should have stuck up for myself in a more proper way and have been more assertive. I
Right.
think a lot of things would have turned out a bit differently. And learning that you can't be afraid to stick up for yourself, because you're going to be the person that either goes into a spiral of depression, you're going to hurt somebody, or wind up that guy on the George Washington Bridge threatening to jump off.
Right.
And nobody wants to be any of those
No.
things.
No.
And it's more of a book of asking people, does anybody else feel this way? And if you do, this is what I went through since it really started at age 5. I looking back, I was
Yeah.
having panic attacks.
Right.
And to describe them and what they feel like and what rumination is like when you're just constantly thinking about having these circular thoughts over and
Right,
over
right.
again. I felt at this point I had been through enough therapy and enough graduate school classes and now hospitalizations, and just having a lot of PhD candidates speak to me and just absorbing as much information as I can, I
Right.
felt I had something to give.
How many hospitalizations did you have, and how long were each?
I had 5 altogether.
Okay. From starting at the age of 50.
Starting at 49.
49,
So
okay.
I had 5 altogether. The first 4, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks here, a month here, and then from August of 2019 until July of 2020 was I did 11
okay.
months.
Okay.
That was the longest stint.
Okay. I did 11 months. Sounds like you were in jail.
Yeah, I did 11 months.
But, you put yourself in, right? Or no?
It was voluntary but involuntary.
Okay.
I was there was a couple of weeks where I was abusing my benzodiazepines, Klonopin and Ativan.
Okay.
And one of the side effects of Ativan that I didn't know at the time was suicidal ideation. So you're taking the Ativan
Right.
while it's working, they make you feel great.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
problem is you're getting this suicidal ideation. So what do? You take more of them. Then you're feeding the side effect. So I took about 15. Dangerous. I consider that dangerous.
15 at once.
15 at once.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah. Even though I had about 100 of those in my, I almost said glove compartment. I had about 100 of those in my medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
And 120 Klonopin.
And what's Klonopin?
Klonopin is another benzodiazepine. It's almost like if Valium and Xanax had had a younger sibling.
Okay.
It's sort of like that.
Okay.
And there was a Friday night I abused Klonopin, and then a Saturday night I abused Ativan. And
What happened when you
I
basically OD'd on it, right?
It was a culmination of 10 years of one thing after another. Some things I brought upon myself, and
Yeah.
some things I didn't stick up for myself properly.
Right.
I didn't calculate what my pension was going to be. I retired early from work. I went on disability, and I didn't do the math correctly. I wasn't thinking correctly, and I'm like, this is it. My life's over. Pop the pills, and
So you're not really thinking at that moment.
No.
You know what they say, right? People who want to commit suicide, right? That in the heat of the moment, like they regret the minute they do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the heat of the moment, they're not really thinking, and they react.
Mm-hmm.
And once they do whatever they're doing, pills, jump,
Mm-hmm.
strangle, I don't know, whatever they do, they're sorry. Because I've heard studies where
Mm-hmm.
people who attempt suicide and fail, they say that it's like that remorse. As soon as they do it, they wish they didn't.
Yes.
It happens so, right?
There's a
So many
gentleman
times.
there's a video of a gentleman that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. He's got how many million views on his post.
Yeah.
He jumped off and he survived. And he said the minute he let go of the railing, he instantly regretted it. For me, it was, I was laying down, and I laid down on a beanbag chair after I took the 15 Ativan, and I said, if I wake up, I'll probably be in the hospital, and at this point, I'm going to stay, no matter what they say. If they offer me to go home, I'm staying.
Right,
You know,
right. You knew you needed the help.
Yeah, and I felt that if, like I said, if they offered me to stay, I'm staying. If they say you need to stay, I'm staying anyway. So for me, it wasn't even. It was too much of a dramatic way to go to say I need help.
Yeah.
I just should have gone and not taken.
But
the
it's
pill.
so hard to ask for help, I think, and I think that's how people ask for help. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yes.
They do something where it draws attention to them, and you know, it's something dangerous. I think it's just it's like screaming for help.
It is screaming for help, and it's a scary place to be because when you're in that mindset, you're not sitting there crying like on TV, and you're going, I'm going to end it all right now, and you're not being this overly dramatic.
Yeah.
You're not having this overly dramatic behavior. It's just a matter of fact. You just walk right in, bump, 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 and boom, you take them.
Yeah.
So. Obviously not the wisest choice in the world.
Right,
and that's where I ended up, and that started...
the book.
know.
So let me ask you, your children,
Mm-hmm.
how have they taken all of this?
Luckily, when I got hospitalized, my oldest are 15, and my youngest is 12. So it's about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So they always knew that Dad had anxiety, and I took medication. Their mother was able to explain it to them in a way that
They can understand.
in a way that they can understand now. It's looked at as I make jokes about it, so this way sort of lighten the mood.
Right.
And I'm mostly concerned that they don't develop it. So instead of saying, like, if there's a food that they're eating, like if my father, the father gets me, don't eat that, it causes cancer, you know?
Right.
So I would say something like that, well, that doesn't really have any nutritional value. You know, it's empty calories.
Right. So you're able to actually take a different approach. You have you can step back, and which is pretty admirable. You know, I mean, you've studied up on everything. You've educated yourself. You know, and you know, I think you kind of taught yourself, right?
A bit.
Yeah,
a bit. After you see a lot of therapists and you realize who has your best interests, or who's just, you know, here, take this pill, and try this cocktail.
Yeah.
There are doctors that are either overwhelmed with their caseload, or maybe they just want to get rid of you for the day. Here, try this, try this, and they feel maybe you're not that you're not worth the time, or they have you pigeonholed into a certain diagnoses, and this is what you need to do. You know, these are all the pills you need to take, and side effects are side effects. And I had one caseworker say, well, wouldn't you rather be heavy and mentally stable than thin and unhealthy? And I said, well, you know, I want to be thin and healthy. Mentally, you know, healthy.
Yeah.
And then her response was, well, there's a pill you could take to help you lose weight because of the side effects of the medication. And that's when I said, we're done. I said, is there anything legally binding us? You know, and she said, no. I said, this is our last session. You know.
Wow. Well, all right. Good stopping point. And don't go anywhere. More from Peter. You're going to love the details. Well, not that you'll love the details, but they're very interesting because we're going to talk about ECT. So you'll find out more about ECT when we come back. See you in a second.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007. Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special, secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
This is a sexy show.
Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey. The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor,
You like De Niro when Cape Fear. Counselor!
entertainment,
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
and optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Let's laugh together.
We love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville. We have Peter Vox. Peter, tell us a little bit about ECT. What does ECT stand for?
ECT stands for electroconvulsive therapy. It's the new.
Sounds horrible.
It sounds terrible.
It does.
It's the new version of electroshock treatment. If you've ever seen A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, there's a scene where they take him into the electroshock treatment room. He's strapped down with these leather straps. They put a big mouth guard in his mouth. He's having convulsions all over the place. I was given the heads up ahead of time. It's not going to be like that.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what is it like?
It's a lot. I compare it a lot like going to the dentist if you're going to have some oral surgery done.
Right.
The first thing they do is they hook you up to the IV. Where you're going to be put under sedation, so you're knocked out.
How many times did you have ECT?
I did 15 rounds, so I had 15 separate sessions. So I did 3 times a week for 5 weeks.
Okay, while you were in the hospital?
While I was hospitalized.
Okay.
So that was actually done at Elmhurst in Queens.
Okay.
So I had transferred from Jacoby to Queens for that specific reason.
Okay.
You go into it looks like a regular examination room, very nicely lit.
Yeah.
Everybody was very nice. They explain what they do. They hook you up to the IV, and they said, "Oh, after you fall asleep, then we hook up the electrodes." They put like the equivalent of like a football mouthpiece in your mouth, so just in case you clamp down,
you don't bite your tongue.
You don't bite your tongue, and you don't grind your teeth.
Okay.
You know, so if you have any fillings, they won't fall
see.
out. But you're not flopping around the table. Like in,
you don't do no jerky movements?
There's no jerky movements. They have your arms down mainly just in case so you don't hit yourself in the face by accident, or more importantly so the IV doesn't come out.
Okay.
And I asked them, I said, am I going to be flopping around the table? And they said, put it this way, did you ever put a 9-volt battery on your tongue? And which we've all done.
Oh, I've never done that.
You never put a 9-volt battery on your tongue?
Maybe all you boys have done that.
Okay. So if you want to test the...
No, thank you.
If you want to test to see how much juice is left in a 9-volt battery, you put it on your tongue, and if you get a zap, you know, your battery's
Oh, no, thank you.
So it's 3 volts.
That's funny.
It's 3 volts stronger than that, and they're inducing little seizures to wake up whatever synapses or whatever neurons aren't firing correctly. You wake up. When you wake up, everything's off of you. So I never saw the electrodes going onto my head. I never saw them put the mouth guard in.
How did you feel afterwards?
Some people say they felt they had short-term memory loss. I didn't have any of that. What I did feel was after a couple of weeks, old feelings coming up, and I was.
Is that a good thing?
Yes, because I think there's things in your subconscious that you internalize and it stays in its little hiding place there, and you need to get those feelings out. So I was having a lot of that, which led to a lot of writing. So it added to the journal. And to be honest, I was on so many medications at that point to give a true gauge of how it worked is a little tough because they had you on so many pills. but I feel that the idea behind it can be helpful.
So do you think after 15 of those treatments, because it sounds like torture to me. Listen, I remember there's a place in Connecticut. I'll tell you what I saw.
Foxwoods?
No. Not that place.
That'll drive you different crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It was called Fairfield Hills. It was a mental institution, and they tortured people there.
Oh, my.
I mean, they were known, you know, probably not at the time, but the things that they did there it was just torture. And I remember being in middle school. I played the trombone growing up, and the band performed we went there to perform for some of the residents. And I remember a woman had this metal cage around her head.
Oh, my.
It was crazy. And she was screaming. And I remember, I just remember being scared. And I remember being scared I was going to catch something in there, you know, like, because you're young, you don't know what's going on. And to see a cage, literally a metal cage around this woman's head, I don't know what they were doing to her. But I just, you know, I remember stories from that place. And scary. So then when I hear about ECT, you know, and then I think of the movies, and I think of, you know, like you say, flopping around on the table, and it sounds just so traumatic. But do you feel like it's helped you?
To a certain extent, I feel.
I mean, you wouldn't have done it if you didn't think the benefit was there.
I wouldn't have done it, and the psychiatrist that I had at Jacoby was a very nice doctor, and he explained it all to me, and how humanely it's done.
Okay.
So I never felt I was taken advantage of in that respect.
Right.
There are patients that are worse off, that sometimes need to be, you know, they're violent, and unfortunately security guards come, they get taken to the ground. You know, you're in the middle of eating, and someone.
Did you ever get hurt while you were in the hospital?
I was attacked twice.
Because, I mean, listen, you have people of all levels, right?
The first place I was at was Brunswick Hall. It's in Amityville.
Okay.
That's my first ever experience in a psych ward. And I'm waiting outside of my wing, and I'm sitting there, my head is down, and I'm defeated. And one of the nurses said, "Is this your first time in a psych ward?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Just keep your head down, don't look at anybody, and you'll be fine." And I went into the TV room, I sat down, the patients that were there were already on the medication line. And within 10 minutes, one guy just punched the guy in the back of the head, knocked him out flat. And I go, "Where am I? You know, and what am I doing here?" Same guy a couple of days later, he came at me. I was online for hand sanitizer. We were doing arts and crafts. I had red magic marker on my hands. So I'm waiting online for hand sanitizer, and he pushed me and said,
"Hey." This is during COVID, so,
right? Right before it.
Right before, okay.
So he pushed me and said, "Hey, man, no snitching." And I was able to hold his arms, and I pushed him against the wall. And he's very drugged up, so it wasn't so hard to control him. And then the security guards took him, put him down, shot a Thorazine, didn't see him for a day or two. When he came back, you know, at lunch, guess who's sitting next to me having a conversation? Oh, my God. Guess who's having a conversation with me like he didn't remember.
Nothing ever happened.
Like nothing ever happened. And so you don't know who you're talking to at that moment.
Right.
And the other time I got punched was by a 67-year-old man, but he came into my room to tell me the voices were telling him to hurt people. But the punch came like slow motion. So I had the time to think to myself, I'm like, is he trying to punch me? And so I had time to lean back, and he sort of grazed me, and I wasn't going to say anything to the nurses because I liked the guy, and I didn't want him in isolation. But I had heard he hit somebody else that morning, so I went to the nurses station and I said, "Listen, so and so tried to punch me in the face, and I just should let you know." So instead of putting him in isolation, they just moved him to the opposite side of the ward. So.
Did you ever wonder to yourself, what am I doing here with, like, because again, all levels, can I say it, all levels of crazy?
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say that.
No.
Can I not say that?
At that point, I knew I should have been there.
Okay.
And I was very open to, I'll talk to as many people as I can.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of this. I need more.
I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you.
Really, for seeking the help.
I wish
that
I
you
went
needed.
when I was 14. That's when I should have gone.
Yeah.
Backtracking a bit,
Right.
when I told my parents I was going to get the ECT,
Right.
and I found out my uncle and grandmother had it, it was sort of like the wedding singer, when she breaks up with him and she goes, I wanted to tell you for a while, and he goes, well, that information could have been used yesterday,
Exactly.
and I said, what do you mean? And
Right.
I was very angry for a while. I'm like,
Right.
my father was in therapy his whole life. Even when I was 14, he was still
Right,
going.
right.
And I said, you guys knew this all along, and you never told my first therapist that there was schizophrenia in the family.
That's a very important piece of information.
Very. And even for 1984,
Yeah.
at that point, a psychiatrist will ask, is there any mental illness that runs in the family? So I said, how could you not tell him?
Right.
And my dad was still alive at that point, and they were sort of like, oh, maybe we should have told him. I'm like, maybe you should have told him. But it made me look at my life completely different. And you go through a period of being angry, resentful of your parents, and now here they are in their 80s, and you're pissed off at them.
Yeah.
How can I be pissed off at my 87?
You can't.
Yeah.
It is what, that's why I say it is what it is, or it is what it, in my book, it is what it is. Let me ask you.
Sure.
Because I want to get to a couple more things. We just have a couple of
Sure.
minutes. So, dating. You're single. What is dating like? How do you tell somebody this?
If I'm on a couple of dating apps. I got kicked off of Tinder. So I put a picture of the book on there.
Oh, advertising. Okay.
I said, I wrote a book. Here it is.
Yeah.
If you want to hang out, if you want to date.
Smart. Smart, because it says it right here.
Yeah. Here's.
Yeah.
This is my story.
Yeah.
Whether we date or we become friends.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have a relationship with anybody, whether it's platonic or a new friendship, how do you not tell somebody you wrote a book about being hospitalized?
Yeah.
It's sort of a big thing.
Listen, everyone has baggage, but by our age, right?
Yes,
We're in our 50s,
exactly.
and let me tell you something. Everybody's got something.
Correct.
At least you own it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just honest. It's been I think the biggest stumbling block has been me.
Yeah.
You make plans with somebody, and then you start to think, oh, this online dating's stupid. So you call that day and you cancel, and then you sit home sucking your thumb, going, I don't want to go. I don't want to meet someone like this.
Yeah.
Everybody that I've had a meaningful relationship with, I met the old-fashioned way, walking down the street.
It's a much better way.
Yeah, being a musician, you meet at a gig.
Tell us a little bit about your music.
My grandmother on my dad's side was an opera singer. My uncle was a painter, so I got the artistic side from them.
Yeah.
I sing and drum, so my bachelor's is in music.
Nice.
That was the dream. And then after, you try, and we had, long story short, we knew the right people, we met the right people,
Right.
but the music industry changed. Right when we were being considered for demo deals, which is a producer will say, hey, we'll work on 3 songs and we'll see if we can set you on the right path.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we think there's potential there. So we got to that level, and then Nirvana hit, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, the grunge scene, and we were forgotten about. So the one thing that came out of it was, don't stop trying. There's other things you can do. So I tried my hand at voiceovers.
Do a couple we have a couple minutes.
who do you
but
wanna hear?
Yeah,
Who do
about
you
a
wanna
minute and
hear?
a half.
Cindy, my name is SpongeBob SquarePants, and what are we going to talk about today?
I don't know, SpongeBob. What do you think we should talk about?
Oh, I don't know. We could talk about a lot of things.
I love it.
So that was instead of yelling at my students to
Right.
get them quiet, I would talk like SpongeBob
love it.
or Bugs Bunny,
Right.
Homer Simpson. Now listen, children, we're gonna play basketball, and if you're all good, we're gonna get donuts. And I would be stopped in the hallway, Mister, Mister,
Yeah.
talk like this, talk like that.
I love it.
So I was told I was too lenient. Don't be funny. Don't smile till December.
Oh, no.
Even if the kid deserves an A, don't give him an A.
Oh, geez.
Because then they won't work as hard next time.
Right.
And I said, but if I don't give them an A when they deserve it, then they're definitely not going to work as hard as next time.
Exactly.
So
That's awesome.
you use it for, use what you have.
Yeah.
even when I was pretending to be the disciplinarian,
Yeah.
the ship's got to be tighter, in the
Yeah.
gym. And even when I was faking being angry, they saw right through it. They're like, "Yeah, you're not really angry." I'm like, "You're right, I'm not angry,"
I love it.
So, you use what are your strengths? My sense of humor. And
Absolutely.
I remember saying
Great
to...
sense of humor.
Thank you. I remember saying to one person, I said, I got into teaching to help kids and make them laugh.
Right.
Because where I taught, there's not much laughter. So I'm going to make these kids laugh. And if we don't get to the game, but they had fun and we laughed maybe, then
it was a win.
Then I did my job.
It was a win.
You know.
Well, tell everybody, please, how they can reach you.
I'm on Facebook under Peter Vox, my just the author name. From there, you can find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walgreens. It's on 42 audiobook apps.
Wow.
Audible is finishing their process of getting it up, but it's on Google Play and Apple and audiobooks.com. Scribd. There's so many.
Awesome. And then again, your Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn. So
Awesome.
I post every day. And if people want to email me, ask me questions about the book or about mental illness and what I think about it.
Motivational talks, maybe. I'm sure you'd.
I'm not sure if I'm that type of a person, because
Right.
when you're doing those things, it's a little bit sensationalistic. And in the mental illness realm, I don't want to say that, oh, this book's going to help you get rid of your anxiety forever.
Right.
It's realistic. You're going to have
Sure.
bad days again.
Yeah.
And you may spend some days in bed again, even though you've made all this progress.
Right.
But guess what? You may need those days in bed.
Right.
And I had a friend, a good friend of mine, whose other friend passed away that he was very close with, and he never came to terms with it. And they went to his house, they saw his clothes, they saw his parents, he smelled his clothes, and he goes, after that I slept for 2 days straight. And this is a person that never expressed his feelings.
Right.
So I said, well, you needed to get those feelings out. So everybody handles,
Everyone does.
everybody
yes.
handles this situation
Yeah.
differently. But if you don't face your feelings, it's going to manifest in some way. You're going to scratch yourself. You're going to... I used to have hair on my legs, so I would have psychosomatic itching. I have no hair left on my legs. They're nice and smooth,
It's always a perk.
Yeah, and women that I've dated, they're like, "What, do you shave your legs?" I'm like, "No, anxiety."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, maybe I should take that up." I'm like, No.
Yeah, no.
No, don't take that up. It's the habit,
Awesome. Well, we're going to finish this episode, but thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you for
show.
having me.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for being so flexible with me
Oh, no
and
problem.
to make this happen.
Congratulations on your dog. I saw your dog
Thank you.
online. It's so cute.
Thank you.
I showed my sons. I was like, "Look, she has a husky."
Beautiful dog. So, well, I'm going to end with my final thoughts. First of all, this is the book, The Psych Ward Notes, Surviving Anxiety and Depression by Peter Vox. So feel free to check out Amazon, go online, get this book. It's a lot of pages, and there's some really good words in there. Like I said, you're going to like it. It already caught my attention.
There's lots of humor in there.
I love it.
It's not all doom and gloom.
Love it. So, final thoughts. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Remember to comment, like, and share if you want to win this, or we have a t-shirt. But we are all human, and have patience with yourself. Love yourself. We're all a work in progress. So just remember that, if you ever need help, go seek professional help. Call a friend. Do something. Don't take the easy route, because you'll regret it, trust me. So remember, love yourself, and we're all beautiful, and I can't wait to see you next week. So make sure, again, comment, like, and share, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Live your life like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open yourself so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go